Hey, my name's Shelley Treacher from bristolcounselling.co.uk. Today I'm actually live on Instagram as well as YouTube as well as Facebook in two different ways. So forgive me if my eyes are looking all over the place, looking to see who's watching and whether there's anything that I need to comment on. So today I help people with binge eating and comfort eating. I help you to quit comfort and binge eating. And I'm here today talking about body image and body confidence and body esteem, because it's quite a huge part of comfort eating. And I haven't had a client yet who doesn't have difficulty with their body image and how they look and doesn't constantly criticize themselves every time they look in the mirror. So it's a big one to try and capture and to talk about. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to talk about it all in these few minutes that we have together, but if you have any questions or you have any comments that you think I might be able to answer, and I'm willing to give any question a go, then I'd be really happy to hear from you. So please just jot any messages in the chat. I'm not sure if that will work with Instagram because it's such a small screen that I have. So you might want to just pop over to YouTube or Facebook, Shelley Treacher, Comfort Eating Recovery. So let's get on with it and talk about body esteem, because there are a lot of things to say about this. But first of all, I just want to point out that how you talk to yourself makes a huge difference. So if you're criticizing yourself unconsciously, you're looking in the mirror and you're thinking, oh, I don't like that, you're going to feel bad. That's the first response, right? You're not going to feel good about that. And so you might comfort eat. So it's a pretty direct line. You might further down the line think, well, I'm going to comfort how I feel with something tasty in the fridge or in the cupboard. So we need to know ways to think differently about our bodies and about ourselves. It's all very much bound up with self-confidence. But there is a specific line of thinking that is just about your body and how you look. And crikey, don't we have a lot of influences on that in our culture and through history and through our ancestry that we have developed and inherited. So I did actually produce a couple of videos this week. I've changed tack. I've been producing videos with my face and talking into the camera a couple of minutes every day for about 5 weeks. And this week I've been using my cat because she's just so cute and very calming and very attractive. So you know how looks do matter to us, right? But they're not everything. So forgive me for being a bit silly and using my cat, but you know, I've got to say she's a lot more popular than I am, so she might feature a lot more in videos from now on. And my first video was about how you talk to yourself, what kind of things you say to yourself. So just have a think about that now if you haven't already done so. What do you say to yourself in your head? What's the unconscious thought every time you catch a sight of your reflection? When you see yourself in a shop window, you're just walking past a bus window, or if you are in your bedroom and you see yourself in your mirror, what is the first thought that pops into your head? And if you're not aware of that, I'd advise you to take some notice of what actually is in your head when you're looking in the mirror, because a lot of it is really unconscious. And a lot of it's going to be self-criticism if you're here watching this. So your first job is really to just become aware of how nasty you're being to yourself. You're probably talking to yourself in a way that you would never say to somebody else, never mind to somebody that you actually like or love. And of course, that's where we need to get you to a place of looking at yourself with love and compassion. So I had some good examples this week. I asked this of my group, and one person came up with, I can't find it right now, how awful, you've let yourself down, which is a really common thing, isn't it? Can you identify with that one? Can anybody else hear that one in their head? You've let yourself down. And I hear so many versions of this, so many self-criticisms about being overweight, about how awfully you've done in the projects that you were trying to reach your goals, and just really negative, nasty comments. I don't actually want to say them online because they can be really, really bitchy and nasty. But if you've got some examples of that, then please, by all means, put them in the comments, because I know there are a lot of them out there. And I actually have had a lovely client recently who really clicked with this stuff. So she suddenly realized that she had been putting herself down all her life every time she looked in the mirror, and she just didn't realize that. So for her, just realizing that changed the habit of a lifetime. And as far as I know, she is still talking kindly to herself, having done only a few weeks' work with me. So there's the hope. And so, of course, that's your job, to start thinking how you can replace that negative thought with something more positive. And one of the ways, only one of the ways that in my program we do this, is by starting to think about all the ways that your body functions really well, and all the ways that your body does something good for you that means you can appreciate something in life and have a good experience. So, for example, I really appreciate my eyesight. I go out every morning for a walk. This also means I appreciate my legs and the ability to move, and my lungs. And I get so much pleasure at the beginning of the working day from seeing the sun or the rain or the birds or the trees or the flowers. And that actually gives me a sense of something that's worth living for, and something that I'll take into the rest of my working day. And I don't know where I'd be without that. And I'm not saying that you have to go for a walk every day. That doesn't suit everybody, but for me it works. And there's something that your body will be doing for you that really means a lot to you. So the idea is to start listing these, start noticing all day long what your body does for you that makes you enjoy life in a way that just the way you look is got nothing to do with. So that's one way that you can approach this. And I'm aware that I'm just like skipping through something that you need to take time over to really change your mind system on it. So we've done the first video. That was what the first video was for this week. And then the second video was about the things that we value in people. So at the moment, you are overvaluing your looks, or the negative impact of your looks. And that's not quite realistic, because what we really value in people is not really their looks. Yes, of course, we find people attractive, and that's how we might hook up with our partners. But in the end, what makes you fall in love with somebody, what makes you love someone long term and stay with them, is not really how they look. Is it? Do you know that? Of course you know that. So I asked you to come up with 3 qualities that you like about somebody you love. So just think about that now. Think of the qualities that you admire, you respect, you appreciate, you wouldn't want to be without in your life, of your best friend, someone that you really love, someone that you really like, anybody that you really like. And I'm willing to bet that they're not really physical. They're mostly, the things that I hear mostly in my group are things where people listen and they accept you, and they're really warm and kind and loving. And those are the things that I appreciate. And I think most people are quite similar on this one. But let me know, put in the comments maybe what qualities you like and appreciate in other people. And so you see how looks just doesn't even really feature when you're building long-term relationships with people. So why would it feature for you? Why have your looks become so important? And this is where we move into the body positive movement, really, where it's a good idea to try and accept yourself as you really are. And I don't want to talk too much about that, because I'm not an expert on body positive, and I think it's kind of acceptable to not really like the way you look if you want to lose weight. And I know that might be controversial, which is a little bit why I don't want to talk about it. But both deserve compassion. If you look at yourself in the mirror and you think, actually, that just isn't me, I think I need to look different to that, and I've got a different goal, then I think that can be quite positive. However, if, of course, what we really need to do is to be thinking positively about who we are, and not really seeing the looks so much. That's more important. I hope that made sense. I think I garbled that one. But really, so then we get into your value system and your belief system, and that's massive. That's going to take some exploring, understanding, compassion. So having discovered what the qualities are that you admire, and then thinking, well, okay, so I really overvalue how I look, and I'm really critical about that. You got to start to wonder where that came from. So you might start to ask in your history, who does that sound like? Is there someone who was really critical about their body or about your body in your past? And what feelings did that leave you with that now need to be processed a little bit and have been squashed with food? So you see how that all fits together. So, and then you will discover your belief system. And so here it's where it's all tied up with your self-criticism and how you feel about yourself. So your belief might be that you are just not worthy and your looks are part of that deal. And so this is a big subject. This is something that goes way back into something that's happened to you, something that people have said to you, or something you've imagined people have said to you, something you've interpreted as criticism that really hurt a long time ago. And you've carried that forward for the rest of your life, believing that there's something wrong with you, and have placed that on your looks. So there's a big exploration that needs to be done to process that through and to come to terms with how you feel, and then to provide compassion for how you feel, and then to start thinking more positively about yourself. Again, I hope that made sense, so please ask me any questions if it didn't. If you have any comments or questions, I'm very open to receiving them. I'm just saying that again for anybody who's joining right now. And you can also comment in the replay. I will still answer questions, although it might be in the live next week. Let me know if you want a personal response. You can email me too. Because some of this I know is quite deep and personal, so you might want to not want to be in public. Okay, so then once you're asking yourself what's happened for you to develop this self-criticism visually and in your own well-being, you could be asking, who are you doing this for? Who are you actually wanting to look more beautiful, more attractive, more perfect, in inverted commas, for? Is it someone in your past that no longer exists in your life? Is it someone in your present? And in which case, how come they get to have looks at the top of the list? How come your personality isn't the thing that should be valued the most? And are you getting into objectifying yourself, which of course is a massive thing in our culture, perhaps a little bit better now that it's all out in the open, or becoming more open. But for decades, this has been a real problem. Especially, I was going to say especially for women, but I don't really want to get gender specific about it. There are some lovely books. One of my clients, funnily enough, recommended one today called I Don't Owe You Pretty, which of course you can guess what that's about, and sounds like it would explode the myth of needing to be attractive for anyone in your life. Alone, there's so many other qualities that can make you attractive. And I've also read a book called Faking It, which is about the same thing, only about the sexual side of it. If that interests you, it's quite an empowering book to read if you do feel like you have objectified yourself or feel objectified in life. And which of course is another thing that needs some careful, gentle, compassionate processing. All right, I'm just looking down at my list because there are some other things that were mentioned in comments. So somebody mentioned something about body dysmorphia. I am not an expert in body dysmorphia, but what I do know is, so body dysmorphia is an obsession with, or a preoccupation with, how you look in a negative way. But particular parts of you might become the obsession. And there's a lot of anxiety behind this. I personally see body dysmorphia as, just like comfort and binge eating, another way to manage how you feel. So with the lack of education on how we can respond to how we feel and how we can manage how we feel in our lives, we develop all these different anxiety traits, and body dysmorphia is one. And sometimes anxiety is one. Anxiety can be a way to manage other feelings that we don't really want to feel, like pain and grief and of course trauma. So that's really all I can say about that in a public few-minute video. I can work more personally with that if you need to. I think that's all I really have to say. And really, just to recap the summary, the most important point is to start noticing how you're being self-critical. That's the quick win in this situation. Just notice how mean, how awful, how bitchy you might be being to yourself. And you know, you can't blame anybody else for that. Yes, there might be people who've influenced that in your history and people you've learnt from to criticize yourself, but now it's you. Now you're the person doing that, and you're the one in control of changing that. And the first thing to do is notice it if you want to change it, and then to challenge it with more positive thoughts. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. Just to say that if you want any more support, please join my Comfort Eating Recovery Support Group on Facebook, or be in contact with me and look up my information. I'm very happy to send you information about how I can help with comfort eating, binge eating, anxiety, loneliness, any kind of mental, emotional well-being, really. So I'm bristolcounselling.co.uk or Shelley_treacher@hotmail.com, or of course you can message me through any of these platforms, and I'd be very happy to hear from you. Do you have any questions or comments before I go? I'm just going to lift Instagram up to see if anybody's actually live right now. There's one person watching, and I think I know who that is. Thank you for watching. I don't think you've got any questions, but if you're not who I think you are, do you have any comments or questions? So I think that's a no. All right, lovely people, have a beautiful weekend. If you can, in this lovely grey weather that we've got in England, if anybody's watching in another country, please make us jealous with your sunny weather. I would just incidentally like to say that all of my clients have been yawning today. I had 5 clients today and they've all been yawning. Must be something to do with the darkness and the weather, eh? So let yourself off the hook if you're tired. The rest of the nation is as well. Take good care, have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you next week at 5:30 on Friday. Bye.